Welcome to the October 26, 2020 City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us in this remote meeting format we're using in response to Governor Brown's Stay Home, Save Lives order. This format enables City Council to meet, hear from the community, and take care of business while keeping its members, staff, and the public safe. Following our first couple of items tonight, there will be a public forum, followed by 2 action items. I have a couple of housekeeping announcements and instructions. Anyone wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed for this meeting on the public webcast and meeting materials web page. For those who join the meeting via computer, device, or phone, your microphone, webcam, and phone are automatically muted when you enter the meeting as an attendee. If you wish to participate during the public forum portion of the meeting and haven't already done so, please raise your virtual hand now to join the speaker's queue in one of 2 ways. For those viewing the meeting on a computer, laptop, or other device, click once on the blue hand icon. For those listening to the meeting on a phone, press *9. We will continue accepting raised hands until 7:35 p.m. The meeting moderator will unraise or disallow any requests to speak that are made after the deadline. When the public forum begins, our meeting moderator will announce 2 speakers at a time. When it is your turn, the moderator will announce your name and unmute your microphone. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Finally, thank you all for your patience, flexibility, and good humor. We have been at this for 7 months, so it's become second nature. I know we'll all be happy when we can get back to in-person meetings. In the meantime, there are other ways to communicate with us, and feel free to contact any one of us individually or together via email or voicemail if there is testimony you were not able to provide or wish to get to us in a different manner. And so our first item are committee reports and items of interest. So I'm looking for folks who wish to speak. I know, Councilor Ye, did you want to speak? Betty, okay.
Sure, I will go ahead. So I just wanted to let anyone who's watching this now or in the future know why all of us are wearing pink, and we even have pink agendas thanks to staff. It's just our way of recognizing Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which was started in 1985, and the American Cancer Society still is putting it on and does events all over the country. If you want to learn more, you can go to their website. But it was started to bring awareness of breast cancer, but also to help educate women about breast health and the importance of early detection tests, and that doctors recommend that women start having annual mammograms starting at 45. And so if you want to get more information about that, please check out like I said, the American Cancer Society's website. And thank you everyone for participating, and staff too.
Thank you for prompting us, Councilor Ye. And with that, Councilor Taylor.
Thank you. First, my dog is getting bored already. But I'm continuing, or again, having a lot of complaints about gas-powered leaf blowers. And I know we have discussed, we've had a work session on them before at my request, I think some time ago, and they're still happening. And even the city is having gas-powered leaf blowers. And I think at least the city could stop and we could give human beings work. But that's and the mural, I continue to get complaints about the mural, and I have a question about that. I've had other questions, but can the owner, this mural that they're complaining about is on the walls of the White Lotus Art Gallery, and I assume the owner of the art gallery owns it, I don't know. But can a person who owns property put up anything that he or she wants to on a mural without, or does the city have any control over that, is my question.
Manager, do you want to answer that, or do it? Do we have a?
Sure. Yeah, I think, there's two different things that sort of regulate that space that you're talking about. One is the sign code. And so it really depends on what it is. So if you've seen certain buildings in town where they do what looks like a mural, but it's basically an advertisement. That's regulated through the sign code, and the city has some regulations around what people can and can't do. Putting art on the side of your private building is allowed. There's nothing in city code that says you can or can't do it. So in this case, we had a property owner and the Partnership of Lane Arts Council and the city and community members that sort of participated in this. So in this case, the property owner okayed it and could also disallow it. And as you probably know, sorry to keep going about this, but I sent you an email shortly before your 5:30 work session that mural has been significantly vandalized with blue paint. And so I don't have a lot more information about it, but much of what was on that mural has been covered up.
No, I didn't see that email. Thank you.
Thank you. That is disturbing that the mural continues to be a flashpoint and a place where we were hoping to have a thoughtful public deliberation about this, and I still look forward to having that process, even though it has been vandalized now. Any other comments from council? Councilor Syret.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to report the Human Services Commission met on Monday, and some of the money that we've allocated through our Affordable Housing Trust Fund for rental assistance is going to start to be put out there, I believe through an RFP. So there were a number of items in the manager's update where actions that this council has taken are starting to come to fruition in terms of rental and mortgage assistance, tenant legal services, and similar things that we've prioritized for our work and the money that we have available to support people in need of human services. I did have a question for the city manager that maybe you could answer after public forum or at our noon work session. It was raised in our Human Rights Commission conversation, and that is, how are we ensuring that people will feel safe in the community in the aftermath of the election, which is generating a lot of anxiety and reactions out there, and there, is a potential for clashes amongst people, regardless of the outcome. I don't know if you want to respond to that now, or if you'd like to wait.
I'll just respond to it now by letting you know, you probably haven't noticed, we moved some things around on the tentative agenda, and actually your meeting on Wednesday will start with an update from the chief talking about how we're planning for election day and the days and weeks after that. So that'll be a really good time for him to give you an update and for you to ask those questions.
Excellent, thanks. I just wanted folks in the community to know that that was something that's on your mind and the chief's mind and some of our minds. Thanks to Councilor Ye to organizing the pink shirts. Mine, for some reason, looks kind of red on my screen, but it is actually pink. It's just a very deep pink. My mother, my 87-year-old mother, is a breast cancer survivor. So, it's definitely something that I'm acutely aware of. So thanks for the helping us honor that. And then I just want to say the vandalism of the mural is truly horrible. I recognize that people have very strong feelings about the images that were on that piece, but that is not the way to resolve this challenging situation. It really is completely unacceptable what occurred there. And it's very upsetting actually to see, regardless of what I might have thought personally of the mural wasn't really for me or about me. So, But as someone who's worked in the arts, I mean, that kind of thing is despicable, quite frankly. So thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Zelenka and then Councillor Evans.
Yeah, on a somber note, I wanted to take a moment to recognize a young man in Illinois, Michael Lane, who died today. He was 18 years old, college student. Just kind of amazing that people are doing what they're doing in the face of this pandemic and not taking it seriously. The fastest growing part of the population being infected is the 21 to 30-year-olds. And people need to take this seriously. Here's a good example. Michael Lane's parents are now having to deal with his funeral, and his friends are grieving his death because he was actually a college student and he was doing it remotely. So please wear your masks and social distance, and for God's sake, don't have parties. That's just, at this point in time, with the pandemic raging out of control and getting worse, it's just not the right time. I know everybody's sick of it. I'm sick of it. Everybody's sick of it, but it's not something to screw around with, and it's something to be taken very seriously. So thank you. I do support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In fact, I had several friends have breast cancer, and it's not a fun thing to go through. And it is survivable. As I know of several friends who have had that, but I actually don't own anything pink, so I didn't wear it. That's my personal preference about colors. If you want purple, I got that, blue, green. Yeah, I think it's very important for women to take that very seriously. I also want to express my displeasure with the vandalism of any kind, anywhere, is just an inappropriate way to respond, and that's just not acceptable. So as far as meetings are going, tomorrow we have the City Council Ad Hoc Committee on Police Policy, which is tomorrow from 6 to 8. Everybody can chime in if they want. Hopefully all the councilors will. And then on Thursday, we also have the Police Commission at 5:30 to talk about other different police policies that we will be working on. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Evans and then Councillor Clark.
Mayor, I'm very adept at finding something pink in my wardrobe. So I have a pink tie that I'm wearing. The shirt doesn't go with it, but that's okay. My mother-in-law passed from breast cancer about 5 years ago. So yeah, we know how tough that situation is, particularly for women. A couple of things. One, a couple of weeks ago, with Chief Skinner and Tim Black from Whitebird, we did a presentation through the National League of Cities for several city council presidents from across the country about cahoots. It was well received. A lot of you have been getting inquiries from people around the country about the cahoots model that we've had since 1990. And it's really catching fire now. So we had about 25 people on that call. And then I was invited to be on a panel for National League of Cities at the national meeting for cahoots. And that is going to happen on November 20th. And this past week, we just had the League of Oregon Cities conference virtually. That went off very well. But there's another little thing to it too. We've been working on equity and diversity effort since I was president last year, and this year, the first time in the history of the league, we had 26 applicants for 3 board seats, and they came from all kinds of diverse backgrounds. Ultimately, we selected Beach Pace, from Hillsborough, who's out LGBTQ, Roland Herrera from Kaiser, who is Latinx. And then we also brought in the mayor of Mosier, and her name escapes me right now. But as a small part of a small city, and you know, being out there in the gorge. So I think that was extremely effective. A lot of people applied. You know, our new leadership will eventually be Tania Browning from Central Point, and Mayor Steve Calloway from Hillsborough. And our next president is Keith Mays from Sherwood.
Thank you. That's an exciting development in the LLC to have that many applicants. That's great. And now, Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to comment on the mural as well. First, I'll say that I'm sorry, Councilor Ye, I did not see your email. I apologize for that. I would have worn something pink in respect to that. My mother and my former mother-in-law died at the age of 61 of breast cancer, and I loved her very much. And so it's very personal to me too. With regard to the mural, I thought the mural itself was disgusting, and I thought it was insensitive, and I thought it was needlessly controversial. But I will say that I heard from an awful lot of people and read on social media a lot of things from people whose principles I tend to agree with and whose values I tend to agree with, who were very, very angry about that. And I don't know who it was, but whoever it was that actually painted over it, I just want to say I'm ashamed of you. Because if you really mean the values you said, that doesn't have anything to do with them. And I think that was the exact wrong way to handle being upset about something. So I just needed to say that.
Thank you very much. I just have one other item. I was going to turn to the city manager about this. We're having an early cold snap these 2 nights, and there's been questions from the community about how we're addressing that. And I just thought the manager could give us a little update about where we stand on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Brooke Freed has actually joined here and is prepared to kind of give us a high level of update of what's happening. Thanks.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Great, good evening. As you all know, the City of Eugene has been collaborating with Lane County and with other local partners on winter warming and emergency shelter strategies. So I'll just kind of give you a high level overview of that. So the strategies include the 5 new rest stops that you approved, the additional microsites that our staff are setting up currently with partners, as well as Lane County's efforts on other non-congregate sheltering options like the hotel motel strategies and other similar rest stop models outside of the City of Eugene, such as the pallet shelters that have been discussed at the recent TAC meeting. In addition, the City of Eugene, Springfield, and Lane County support the Egan warming through our HSC partnership. So Tim Black with St. Vincent de Paul is serving as the lead on the Egan strategy this winter. Currently, the Egan warming centers are limited to 50 people. So that's 40 guests and about 10 volunteers at each site due to the governor's guidance. Last night, the Lane Event Center hosted 40 guests at Wheeler and 16 guests in the expo hall. So they didn't fill up. It is not activated tonight because we didn't hit the threshold of temperature that would activate Egan. But kind of an overview of how it went last night. So Occupy Medical helped with the intake screening there. And any symptomatic adults, they didn't have any, but could have been referred over to the River Avenue site, the former VA clinic that's set up with transportation by Occupy. The First United Methodist Church hosted 6 youth. So I don't believe they filled up either, but there were 6 there. And so in speaking with Tim, just to kind of get an overview of how things were going, We definitely still need locations for this winter. Ideally, the sites would have space to host 20 to 40 guests at each site, just for the sake of sort of efficiency across their volunteer base. Those are sites that are in the range of 2,000 to 4,000 square foot, heated with access to restrooms. So our team, Lane County partners are all working together, but we definitely still need sites and need partners to come forward and help us out there. Egan also still needs volunteers. So as many of you know, past volunteers are often of a more vulnerable population. So they're actively recruiting for volunteers now. There will be 3 upcoming training opportunities starting next Thursday. These will include options for Zoom training and in person. And so anyone interested in volunteering can go to their website at eganwarmingcenter.com to sign up and hopefully volunteer. Oftentimes these get activated pretty last minute. And so anyone who has flexibility, interest is really very appreciated. Tim also asked me to convey his appreciation to everyone in our community who's been putting forth efforts to make this work, given the complex public health circumstances that we're working in. And so while some of the churches that we've worked with in the past aren't able to participate this year, he just really wants to acknowledge the ongoing support in our community. And as we all kind of pull together, just, you know, really wanting to encourage folks to get involved and collaborate with all of us on these. So our team is continuing to collaborate. We are definitely looking for as many options as possible, and we'll continue to move forward on the strategies that you all have approved. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. That was very thorough and very helpful. I think there's just a lot of question, and it always is hard for us when the cold weather comes very quickly and we have pieces, we're trying to put pieces in place and we're not quite there yet. And so hopefully this has helped sort of jumpstart both, you know, the ongoing work, but jumpstart the community also into recognizing now is the moment to get some trainings and get involved in this if at all possible. I know there are still faith communities that are looking at their spaces, looking at ways they can help. So appreciate all of that. And thanks for giving us that report. And with that, I think we are ready to go on to the consent calendar.
Thank you. I have 2 minor typo changes to the minutes. September 28th, 5:30 meeting. It says Mayor Vinnis opened the July 27th meeting, so let's correct that. And that evening, September 28th at 7:30, it says House Bill 2003 and it's 2001. So I move to pass the consent calendar with those 2 corrections.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you very much. And now with that, we are ready to proceed to the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official or are on tonight's agenda as a public hearing. Each person will have 2 minutes to speak. When it is your turn and your microphone has been unmuted, please state your name clearly and, for Eugene residents, your ward if known, before beginning your comments. If you are watching the meeting, the timer should be visible. A yellow light will come on when you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light and beep indicate the end of the 2 minutes. When your time has concluded, the moderator will mute your microphone and move on to the next speaker. For those who have connected to the meeting via phone and don't have the benefit of seeing the timer, please be aware that your microphone will be muted at the 2-minute mark. And so with that, I will turn it over to Jessica. Do we have any guests to speak?
Yes, Mayor. This is actually Naya, but we have.
Hi, Naya. Thank you.
Hi, yes, we have 7 participants for the public forum. And so first we have Martha Bryson, and to follow will be RS Self. Martha, you can go ahead and speak.
Hello, My name is Martha Bryson, and I live at 1350 Charnelton, near downtown. And I'd like to speak about decriminalizing homelessness. And I'd like to point out that the American Bar Association Commission on Homelessness and Poverty and its Homeless Court Advisory Committee work to decriminalize homelessness and remove these barriers, these legal barriers to self-sufficiency by supporting homeless courts through developing resources, conducting technical assistance and trainings, and facilitating the replication of homeless courts across the country. Now, I think that the mistake being made in my community here is that criminalizing when there's no other place to be, when there's no other place to go to be, really is unfair. You can't provide shelter or encampments for folks. If you need 1,000, you can't just say, oh, we'll provide 40 beds or 15 beds, and the rest get criminalized. You just can't do that. It's just immoral for that to happen. I meet every month from 5 to 15 women over 60 who have become homeless in the last 3 years. Here in Roseburg, in Eugene. And it's really important that we understand we have.
Thank you. Your time is up. RS Self, you are next.
Thank you. I'm Richard Self. I'm with from Ward 1, but always Ward 9. And my first statement is it'll be 28 degrees tonight. Okay. I respectfully address the council in regard to your previous work session.
No.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm talking about your previous work session with the HRC earlier tonight, and I'm talking from a lived experience perspective. I appreciate the remarks of Councilors Pryor and Clark in regards to the alternatives to citations and sweeps in certain cases. I'm surprised by the silence of Councilor Semple in an election year. I applaud Councilor Ye for actually pointing out Haber's report contains the details the councilor may be looking for. In regards to that word decriminalize, it should be noted the Boise decision of the Ninth Circuit Court makes it illegal to cite or sweep a camp or persons with no alternatives available. The council was free to appeal to the Ninth Circuit in regards to COVID or what have you, but in the meantime, Grants Pass recently found out the hard way in a civil suit that this decision does carry weight and could be costly if ignored. Therefore, I appreciate the forward thinking of this council in this regard. I appreciate the idea of making those unhoused a protected class in the future. I'd like to encourage the council to step a bit more forward with reviewing Lori Haber's report as
Naya, we seem to have lost Richard Self.
Thank you. Your time is up. Next, we will go to Tom Peck, followed by Matthew Uke. Tom, if you could please unmute. Okay, so
Can you hear me now? Okay,
yes,
great.
we can.
Okay, so my name is Tom Peck. I live in Ward 1. I'm on the Fan Friendly Area Neighborhood Board and also on the Neighborhood Leaders Council Board. And I'd like to speak to you about a proposal that we put forward from FAN. As part of the winter strategy, there was a call for neighborhood associations to help find sites for unhoused shelters. And so we went to work. We have a committee in the Friendly Area Neighborhood, a homeless committee. We came up with a fairly detailed proposal. We called it Morning Dove Women's Shelter. And we proposed the shelter be placed at the in Westmoreland Park at the kids sports facility, which is vacant. And we proposed it in the parking lot. And we worked with CSS to develop a relationship so they would potentially sponsor it. We met one time with Peter Shavanis and Regan, and really we've been sending multiple emails to city manager's office and really haven't got any much of a response to my knowledge. You can probably imagine the plight of unhoused women living in a tent. They're really, as you can imagine, very vulnerable. I'm just asking the city council if they can look into this proposal. As you know, the women's shelter at the Mission has a long waiting list, and women really need protection, and we can do it. So I will send you all the proposal first thing tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.
You're muted.
Next is Matthew Yuk, followed by Joshua Stroud.
Hello? Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm Matthew Yuk, resident of Ward 4. And listening to some of the commissions happening earlier today, there seemed to be a good amount of focus on directions I see Eugene wanting to step. And I can't wait to see what the eventual outcome is with such a strong human rights commission right now, pushing for what a lot of us feel in our hearts we want to see. And so I don't envy all that task figuring it out. I had a couple ideas, and there was also the Sustainability Commission. And there was also talk, of course, about food sovereignty to be built into new models that different organizations might be able to tie into. So my first thought about just a general electricity type saving one is to subsidize windows for rentals with a no rent increase from property managers that do accept this subsidy, and then maybe some rebate for rent depending on what the cost is. And then there's also a pay it forward dirt and delivery program I want to start, which is not necessarily a dirt, but anything needed for people to grow food, so that way they could help provide that for themselves and remove the barrier by being able to create a fund for people to pay into when they purchase stuff from either like Rexius or Lane Forest products that then could go forward to pay for purchase and delivery to help remove one of those hurdles that is very problematic for the folks that could benefit the most. And so if any of y'all have ideas of organizations I could try to access for any of these, I would greatly appreciate that. My email is matthewuk@gmail.com. And I'll try emailing something about this more to y'all here in a moment.
Thank you. Next is Joshua Stroud, followed by phone ending in 327. Joshua, please unmute.
Hello, am I here?
Yes.
I just wanted to say what amazing tasks you guys have to consider, and just listening to all the concerns of the citizens, it's a lot. So you will be in our prayers. I am wearing pink just to support and stand in solidarity with the cause. I just wanted to applaud you all. You're doing some amazing work, and Mayor Venice and city manager and all of you counselors. I just really want to encourage you to keep at it. Stay the course. Understand that there are a lot that are supporting you and praying for you. We know that you can't do everything, but we will be involved in hopefully standing alongside you. I represent an organization called ADOS Oregon, which represents the American descendants of slavery. And we're just here to encourage you guys to continue to stay engaged in this challenging work of restorative justice, not just for specifically keeping in mind that there are people that are really, really struggling out there, and people that have come before us that have yet to really see the type of restorative justice that is due them. Again, thank you for your time. I don't live in Eugene, I live in Springfield, and I appreciate the model that you're setting for the region. You guys are really receptive and seem to be anxious to see change. So I just want to applaud you and congratulate you again, and thank you for giving me the time to speak.
Next is phone ending in 327, followed by Swift.
Hey, I believe both of those are me because I accidentally logged out right around 7:35. But this is Chelsea Swift. I'm just here to hold space in this meeting right now that 2 people who are homeless in Eugene have died in 1 week. It's going to be freezing tonight and there's not a shelter. And the city manager can change that and is choosing not to. Thanks.
And Mayor, that concludes our public forum for everyone who signed up before the 7:35 cutoff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Naya. Thank you to all of you who made comments. Are there counselors who wish to comment on anything you've heard tonight? Oh, yeah, several. Okay, I have Counselor Zelenka, then Counselor Siret, then Counselor Semple.
Yeah, maybe you didn't hear the presentation that staff gave right before this, but there are numerous shelters that are available and numerous ones that were not filled. So there's spaces available tonight as there were last night. So there's so there is space available for people to get out of the cold. Second, City Attorney, maybe you could reiterate what you think the Boise decision says for the city of Eugene. Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm happy.
You're welcome.
I mean, we've looked at that there many times, and we are actively working and in compliance with Boise in that the citations and arrests and when we close down camps, all of what we need to do and what we consider when we are looking for spaces available, we are actively considering and working around Boise. So we feel we are in compliance, and we continue to monitor all the cases that are going on, including the Grants Pass case. That was a recent case where I'm happy to send out a summary of that. What we are not prohibited from. What Boise doesn't say is that we are required to allow camping any place, anywhere. I think that is one of the things that is messaged occasionally, and that isn't what Boise stands for. What it does speak to is the need to have adequate bed space if we were to effectuate arrest. The Boise case largely dealt with some prohibited sleeping provisions that we don't have. And it did also deal with some prohibited camping, but we are absolutely actively working with that. Ben Miller in my office actively works with EPD and advises on that. So we are not ignoring that. And we are continuing to make sure that we are doing what we need to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconception around what Boise actually said. The Boise decision actually said, and doesn't say that that we should just get rid of camping. And we have to give everybody a bed. We're trying our mightiest, and we're probably one of the best cities on the West Coast for doing a lot of stuff that we're doing and trying to handle homelessness, including tonight's open shelter. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, I hate it when the computer gives you a message and it covers up the mute button just when you need to use it. All right, Councilor Syret and then Councilor Semple.
Thanks. So thanks, Mayor. I did hear Brooke say that they weren't activating the Egan style shelter tonight because it wasn't predicted to go below the threshold of 28 degrees. So is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But we have opened other shelter options. So, well, first I want to appreciate the folks who signed up to speak. And I know it's challenging to stay within the 2 minutes, and Naya was really wired on the button with the 2-minute cutoff. So I hope folks didn't feel disrespected by that. It's a challenging format. And, I, for one, was listening and taking notes for what folks shared with us. I really want to appreciate the friendly area neighbors for stepping up and working up a proposal. And, it sounds like a very smart and hopefully actionable proposal. And I'm sure city staff will get back to you. They are working on a lot of microsite projects. And so I don't think they're ignoring you because they don't think what you have to offer is valuable, but there's only so many hours in a day. I also want to appreciate Mr. Stroud of Springfield taking the time to speak to us and give us much needed expressions of support and encouragement. That is very nice to hear, and appreciate that folks in our nearby cities are paying attention to what this council is doing. And then I wanted to ask Sarah, and you might not have an answer to this right now, but I am concerned about the relatively low participation in our public forums. I mean, maybe if we were meeting in person, we still would only have 7 people tonight, but it's been fairly low. And I'm wondering if staff, I know we're on an upswing in the pandemic, so I don't think we could be thinking about this right now, but in the months to come, thinking about how we might start meeting again in person safely and allow public input in person. And the other thing is, even in this format, it's really challenging not to be able to see people who are speaking to us. It was really nice. Mr. Stroud had a photo. I'm assuming it was of himself. So he could have put any photo up there. That was nice. I at least had an idea of who was speaking to us, but it's super, super challenging for me not to be able to see people. So I don't know if that's something we can overcome, if there's a reason we're not allowing video, if it's some kind of worry about, obscene images or something, I don't know. But I just have, those are kind of what's been on my mind about a public forum.
Can I just jump in on that really quick? Thank you, Councilor Syret. It's interesting because I think initially when we went to this format, we actually had quite a bit of people showing up, and a lot of cities, I'm participating in some forums with other cities, and they're also experiencing that, like more people are showing up that wouldn't normally have shown up. We did just actually have a conversation today about exploring turning the video on for the public forum. Initially when all of this started, the online forums anyway, and COVID, there weren't enough security, and that was one of the formats that people are getting in with the Zoom bombing, and so the best practice was not to allow that. However, we acknowledge that 7 months have gone by, and so the team was going to start looking into whether that would be a possibility. We've gotten that feedback from several.
Okay, Councilor Semple.
Thank you. And I agree with Councilor Syret that we're not seeing very many people, and it would really help if I could see them. I have to respond to the criticism of not being vocal tonight. I am still recovering from my concussion, and my energy is very erratic. Today is not a good day for me. but I did want to be here to listen. I have not wavered in my dedication to helping our unhoused. And actually, it's been on my mind recently about Lori Haber's report and the need to get back to that. So I was silent tonight, but my heart and my work are still in the same place. And I appreciate everyone's coming to talk to us. It is helpful. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else with a comment? I just wanted also to thank everyone who testified. It was lovely to have Joshua Stroud come and say nice things to us because usually we hear complaints. And so it was very encouraging to hear those comments. I also wanted to mention to Matthew Uke, EWEB has had a weatherization program for a long time for properties. And so that might be something as you think about your idea about windows, you might, I'd be happy to talk to you, but you might actually also look into that EWEB program because they have had something like that for a long time. But we have also talked about that. We have a small committee, council leadership meets with EWEB leadership, and we have talked about, are there ways in which we could encourage the creation of a better, improve our housing stock in various ways. And it's kind of fallen by the wayside just because of the impacts of COVID and what that has meant to tenants and property owners and so on. But I think as part of our longer range goals of equity and both housing supply and climate change, that looking at the quality of housing is an important step for us as a community. So thank you for thinking about that. Happy to talk about that with you at another time. And with that, we are ready to go on to our first action item, an ordinance concerning time extensions for approved land use applications. So manager, do you need to speak to this?
I can do a short intro, but I also think the staff that are here, I'm pretty sure they're wearing pink and they should turn their cameras on. So just FYI. You held a public hearing last week on a city-initiated amendment to extend the expiration date for approved land use applications. As proposed, the amendment would provide a 3-year extension to certain approved land use applications to support economic recovery, considering the negative economic impacts of COVID-19. Tonight, you have an opportunity for deliberation and possible action on the proposed ordinance. Nice, Alyssa. You get extra points.
Can we hear from Melissa?
I know, do we get to hear from Melissa with her pink hair? We were talking about time extensions, not hair extensions, but.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Okay, are there, Emily, Councilor Semple, you want to just put the motion on the table?
I would love to. I move to adopt the ordinance included as attachment A to this AIS, an ordinance concerning time extensions for approved land use applications and providing an effective date.
Second.
Any clarifications, comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 approve. Thank you very much. We passed that. Thank you so much for dressing for the day and the moment. Alyssa.
Apparently the pink hair is good luck.
Yeah, right. We should remember that. It's a power color. Pink is a power color. All right. Our next action, city manager evaluation process. Do you want to speak to that for a minute? Manager?
Sure, I can do that. We had a work session last Monday night to talk about an evaluation process. There's a couple of things in tonight's packet that should have built on what we talked about last Monday night. So the actual evaluation process sort of outlined the process, the purpose, the characteristics, fleshed out a little bit more sort of prompts and ideas about what you might be thinking about with those, and kind of a timeline and a process. So that should have been fleshed out, added the things that Councilor Pryor put forward and that all of you kind of head nodded to. Still keeps the compensation discussion separate, and I'm proposing that I come back this winter, or I come back with council leadership on an idea of how we'll do that. And then the last thing is, and there's 2 motions, is to amend my contract for the second time to just move this process to happen in the fall, with the preference being October, so we don't get in that September crunch.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any questions, or Councilor Semper, why don't you just put the first motion on the table?
I move to establish the city manager evaluation process as outlined in attachment A.
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? Councilor Zelenka.
Yeah, thank you for putting forward this very detailed evaluation note for us. I think it'll be really helpful, Sarah, as we move forward with it. I just wanted to reiterate a point that Councilor Clark and I both made, which was a free-for-all, no data and no guidance didn't serve us well in the past. And maybe we can move forward with a hybrid that with some non-binding numbers as well as discussion, so that we can accommodate both those who like numbers and those who don't like numbers. We don't have to abide by them and make it automatic, but I think, and some structure around that for our compensation discussion, I think will serve us well in the future when we put this package together in the coming months.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready for a vote on the first motion? All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. That passes. Thank you so much. Councilor Semple, the second motion.
I move to authorize the council president to execute the second amendment to Sarah Mederi's employment agreement set forth in attachment B to this AIS.
Second.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that passes 8-0. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Good meeting, good conversation. Sarah, take care of yourself.
Thank you.
And have a good night, everyone. We are adjourned.
All right.